What's up, ladies and gentlemen? My name is Ravi Wadden, and in today's video, I want to talk about an amazing lease deal on a Ford F150 Lightning. So what we'll do in this video is we'll go to Ford's website and we'll look at the national lease offer. We'll kind of dissect it in detail. And then what we'll do is we'll run my 1.25% rule of leasing on this Ford F150 Lightning. And my 1.25% rule of leasing is just a value metric that I use to determine whether or not a lease or a particular lease is a good lease in terms of value, and this Ford F-150 Lightning is a tremendous value. And then towards the end of this video, what we'll do is we'll compare the monthly lease payments on this F-150 Lightning to the monthly finance payments if you were to buy this truck instead of lease it. So if that sounds good to you, please be sure to give this video a big thumbs up for the algorithm, and please be sure to follow or subscribe to my channel. But with that, let's go ahead and jump into the computer behind me. All right, ladies and gentlemen, here I am on the Ford website. Let me show you guys how I got here, because these are 2023 models and they are kind of hard to find if you don't know what you're searching for. So what I did is just put Ford F-150 Lightning lease in the Google search bar, as you can see here. And then the second, the second search engine selection is this 2023 Ford F-150 Lightning electric truck. And then you don't want to click on featured offers, you want to click on pricing and incentives, and then you'll get a list of all of the awesome lease deals that they have on Ford F-150 Lightnings right now. Now, for the purposes of this video, even though the F-150 Lightning XLT is the cheapest payment, I do believe the Ford F-150 Lightning Lariat that is listed here is the best lease deal in terms of value. So that's what we'll cover in this video. So let's go ahead and jump into it. So right now you can lease a 2023 F-150 Lightning Lariat for $484 a month. The lease allows for 10,500 annual miles. It's a 36-month lease that requires $7,683 due at signing. As you can see, the security deposit is waived and excludes taxes, title, licenses, and fees. And excuse the noise in the background, the Blue Angels are flying overhead. We have Seafair this weekend in Seattle, so the Blue Angels are flying. I live in downtown, so you might hear them in the background. But really quickly, the first misconception that we have with leases is that the advertised, allowed lease mileage is non-negotiable, and that simply isn't true. As you can see here, this lease allows for 10,500 annual miles, but if you want 12,000 or 15,000 miles a year, you can get that. You can negotiate that into the deal, and it's much cheaper to actually negotiate the 12 or 15,000 miles a year up front when you sign your lease deal, when you negotiate your lease deal, rather than paying the excess mileage penalty. Because remember, if you get 10,500 miles, but you actually end up driving, 12 or 13,000 miles a year, then when you go to turn your truck back in, you're gonna have to pay an excess mileage penalty, and that's usually a lot more than just paying for the mileage up front. Excuse me. So, in a nutshell, if you know you're gonna drive 12,000 miles a year, or if you know you're gonna drive 15,000 miles a year, just get that mileage up front and avoid paying those hefty penalties. The second misconception is this $7,683 that you see here that's due at signing. A lot of people will see this and like, hey Ravi, this is a terrible lease deal. It's saying you need to put down $7,683. I don't want to do that terrible lease deal. Well, ladies and gentlemen, what you want to do is try to negotiate this amount that you see here, the $7,683, to the lowest amount possible. Now, in a perfect world, would it be nice to do a sign and drive on this Ford F-150? And a sign and drive essentially means that all taxes, fees, your down payment, everything, acquisition fee is just rolled into the lease, and you can pretty much sign your lease paperwork. You don't have to put anything down up front. You don't even have to put a penny down because the first month's payment is actually rolled into the lease as well. And that's what we call a sign and drive. But those typically don't happen. It really depends on the lease program, and that's from the manufacturer's finance arm or the finance bank, and it really depends on the dealer. Now, what I say is that you want to negotiate this down. In this case, I would try to negotiate this down to at least $2,000 or $3,000, but don't walk away from a deal just because a dealer doesn't let you do a sign and drive. So, in other words, if you have to put $2,000 down or $3,000 down, it's not a big deal, because if you think about this truck, if you bought it in the state of Washington, just your registration fees on this truck are probably going to be about, let's say, $800, $900. The taxes that you're gonna have to pay on the rebates, you're probably looking at about another $1,000. And then you look at an acquisition fee of, I don't know what it is on the Fords, but let's say it's $500 or $600. And then you have other dealer fees. So just your fees, you're looking, and not to mention your first month's payment. So you're looking at about $2,500 to $3,000 right there. And I have no problem paying that up front. I think that's fair. And I wouldn't walk away from a good deal just because you have to pay fees up front. But when you're putting down money to lower the capitalized cost of the vehicle, actually putting cash up front, that's where I get a little bit hesitant, because all you're doing there is just prepaying the lease. There's really no benefit of putting money down to lower the monthly payment. So this is negotiable, the $7,683 that you see here, but don't walk away from a good lease deal just because you have to put $2,000 or $3,000 down. Now, in this part of the video, what I want to do is run my 1.25% rule of leasing on this Ford F-150 Lightning. Now, my 1.25% rule of leasing is really simple to run. I'll do it on the calculator. I'll show you guys how to do it on your own. And what it is it pretty much helps you determine whether or not a lease is a good deal in terms of value. So let's go ahead and run the 1.25% rule of leasing on this Ford F-150 Lightning. So let's go ahead and bust out the handy-dandy calculator. And what we're going to do here is we're going to take the total due at signing amount of $7,683, 7683. And what we're going to do is subtract the first month's payment, or the monthly payment in this case, of $484 from that amount, since this $7683 that's due at signing includes the $484 monthly payment. And when I do that, I get $7,199. Now what I'm going to do is divide this by 36, since this is a 36-month lease. And what that does is it breaks that total due at signing into 36 equal parts, and that gives me $199.97, roughly $200. And now what I'll do is add the $484 monthly payment back into this amount, and that gives me a pre-tax monthly payment of $683 a month. Now here where I live in the city of Seattle, your tax on the monthly payment is going to be about 10%. So I'll multiply this by 1.1 to account for 10% sales tax. And that gives me a monthly payment, including taxes, with $0 down, of $752 a month. Now what I'm going to do is divide this by the purchase price, which you can see here is $71,990. So I'll divide this by $71,990. And I get 0.0105. I'll multiply this by 100 to move the decimal point over 2 spots, and I get 1.04%. Now, ladies and gentlemen, anytime your monthly payment, including taxes, with $0 down, anytime you divide that monthly payment by the vehicle's MSRP and you get a number less than 1.5%, that's a good lease deal. That's a lease deal that I would recommend to my friends and family. That's a good lease deal. Anytime you're under 1.25%, that's a great lease deal. That means you're really hitting it out of the ballpark. You're getting a lot of bang for your buck, and it's a much better option than financing that same car. And anytime you get a value under 1%, that's an amazing lease deal, and that's usually reserved for electric vehicles and plug-in hybrids, since they do qualify for the $7,500 EV tax credit. But as you can see here, this Ford F-150 Lightning sitting at 1.04% is a great lease deal, and there is no doubt in my mind, if I had to lease this truck or finance this truck, I would lease this truck sitting at 1.04%. Now, this 1.04%, as you probably noticed, doesn't include taxes, title, registration fees. But even with that, this is still a tremendous lease deal, and I would definitely lease this truck over finance this truck. And Ford's website is actually really cool, because what you can do here is just estimate the payment on this truck if you were to actually buy it. Now, as you can see here, Ford has it at $812 a month, but that's an 84-month term. If we do a 72-month term, you're looking at about $886 a month, with about $7,199 down. Ladies and gentlemen, I mean, if you just, you can run the numbers on it on your own. I try to do my best to show you guys, but I think you can see that the better financial decision here is to lease this particular truck. Now, a lot of you watching are probably saying, hey Ravi, but when you lease this truck, you know, you can't have it long term, and when you finance it, you can just pay it off and keep it forever, or keep it for as long as you'd like. But you have to remember that all leases, or most leases aside from Tesla, including this lease, have a buyout option. So if at the end of the lease term it makes financial sense to purchase this truck, or maybe you just want to purchase this truck for whatever reason, or whatever the reason may be, you can do so. So don't let that stop you from leasing a vehicle. A lot of people think that leasing is just a long-term rental, but you do have a buyout option or a purchase option at the end of the lease term. But if you guys have any other questions about leasing, or any other questions about this truck, or about the leases that we have on DriveMatch.com, please let me know in the comments section below. But with that, I'm going to call it a video. Enjoy your guys' weekend. Well, it's only Thursday, so I guess we have one more day till the weekends. But yeah, thank you guys for watching. I appreciate it. Financial knowledge is power. Please like and follow for more.